Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the managing director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing quote-unquote recalibrating retirement visa issues. Now, I'm going to dig into a pretty dense and long article from ASEAN Now, that's ASEANnow.com. Quoting directly, Thailand, a perennial magnet for retirees due to its enchanting blend of affordability, warm climate, and vibrant culture, is recalibrating its approach to foreign residents. A shift with significant implications, known for golden beaches, delectable cuisine, and the famed hospitality that has earned it the moniker of the Land of Smiles. Thailand has historically welcomed foreign retirees with open arms, offering them a slice of tropical paradise that's both accessible and affordable. However, new policies suggest a distinct pivot towards the affluent, leaving many longtime admirers questioning their future in a country once synonymous with retirement tranquility. Quoting further, for decades, Thailand's retirement visas were considered a golden ticket for retirees aged 50 and over. The long-standing non-immigrant OA and OX visa categories, well, first of all, long-standing. I mean, the OX has only been around for, I don't know, it's maybe 5, 7, 8 years. And I can tell you few people have used it that I've seen. Maybe some more recently, but when it was first rolled out, it was like almost dead on arrival. And then I've heard anecdotally of people getting them. I can say unequivocally here at the office, we haven't seen anybody get one of those. The OA needs to be distinguished from the standard O retirement visa, which is the classic retirement visa here. But the OA is issued from embassies and consulates abroad. Yes, it is in wide use, but I think that whoever wrote this was basically saying, you know, sort of the O retirement visa category generally, and then you've got the OA and the OX are specific subcategories thereof. That said, quoting further, presented viable pathways into this Southeast Asian haven. Requirements were straightforward, either stash 800,000 baht, approximately 22,000 USD, in a Thai bank or show a monthly income of 65,000 baht, around 1,800 USD, alongside proof of a clean criminal state and health coverage. These terms made Thailand one of the most welcoming places for middle-income retirees, a financial comfort unmatched by many other Asian destinations. Yeah, and we're doing a video on this for our paid news service, Integrity News Service. Those interested in that, you can check out the email. We'll put it below. Send us an email, media@integrity-legal.com. I'm going to title this upcoming video, I'm going to be making it contemporaneously with this one. I'm going to title it, Where is Everybody? Because it's really, this low season is low. We've got restaurant clients who are talking to us and saying, hey, numbers are down. You know, I'm just walking around the streets and it's just like, where is everybody at? And nobody seems to be much around. Now, part of that could be sort of the aftershock, if you will, especially in context of the recent earthquake, but it's sort of the rebound, if you will, from high season. When you get a really high season, there does tend to be a low season because people have already been here. And, you know, if they're vacationers, they're not going to come here twice in a year oftentimes. That said, it's worth pointing out, and I'm going to get into great detail on the paid news service on this, middle-income retirees. That has been the bread and butter of Thailand, and I don't think that they are given the appreciation that they deserve, quite honestly. That said, quoting further, yet as 2023 unfolded, Thailand threw a curveball with the unveiling of long-term resident visa. They also threw a curveball with the memorandum regarding taxation that came out in that year. Again, something I'll get into in the paid news service. Quoting further, this new tier waved like a shiny lure, targets wealthy global citizens with steep prerequisites, a minimum of US 80,000 annual income sustained over 2 years, and US 1 million in assets. This hefty financial threshold has effectively priced out all but the wealthiest of prospective retirees. Fair enough, and good point, but it also needs to be pointed out, there are also the O options, the standard retirement visa options are still out there, especially for renewal. The one thing that should not be taken away from this video is the notion that renewals are not possible. Now, as I've talked about in other videos, opening bank accounts is getting more and more difficult. We're hearing a lot of anecdotal evidence about that. Also, they've tightened up substantially regarding conversions and issuances of new O retirement visas. And if you recall, I've talked about this for a number of years, that you could see problems if they try to consolidate the O retirement visa category and basically make a one-size-fits-all set of rules. That could have substantial implications, especially for folks coming in new. But in the sense of renewals, understand we're not seeing, from what I've heard, substantial changes to the renewal process, although as it kind of ebbs and flows with immigration here, it does sound like things are getting a little bit more onerous to deal with on a day-to-day basis, even regarding renewals, which brings me to the further quote. Furthermore, in the wake of COVID-19 and heightened scrutiny over immigration protocols, health insurance requirements for typical retirement visas have grown more stringent. Well, yeah, but the folks that were here and renewing in O retirement status, they didn't really have that issue. As we talked about when COVID happened, and I have all the videos and I made them at the time, yeah, insurance was a component of the OA, and for a fairly prolonged period of time, the OA was the only way of getting into Thailand in retiree status. That said, quoting further, there's also a persistent undercurrent of speculation concerning potential increases in financial thresholds for these visas. Anecdotal evidence from retirees suggests increasing difficulty and opacity during application processes. Well, what does that mean? I mean, look, the system is what it is. As we've discussed in other videos, each immigration office has their own way of doing things. Immigration officers themselves are vested with substantial plenary discretion regarding whether or not to even issue a visa. And quite honestly, that's their purpose. They're there to be the eyes and the ears of the Thai government, if you will, to decide whether or not someone should be granted ongoing status or status in the first place. That's more the case of folks that work at embassies or consulates abroad. But again, these officers, their function is adjudicating whether or not somebody should get a visa. Yes, there's requirements, but it's not a hard and fast set of rules, because at the end of the day, all immigration officers have discretion to make final decisions regarding issuance on, for example, a visa to begin with or an extension of status. That said, quoting further, there's also a persistent undercurrent of speculation concerning potential increases in financial thresholds for these visas. Yeah, fair enough. There's always kind of been that talk. I'm not hearing anything yet, and maybe I'm wrong, but I'm not hearing anything yet that says, oh no, they're going to jack up the financial requirements significantly anytime soon. I haven't heard that yet. Quoting further, anecdotal evidence from retirees suggests increasing difficulty and opacity during application processes, projecting a stark, albeit quiet, message: without considerable wealth, entry into Thailand is becoming an arduous endeavor. No, I don't necessarily agree with that. Yeah, look, Thailand's always, I think policymakers are always going to want high caliber, if you will, or high spending. High caliber is the wrong word, because I know plenty of middle income retirees who are perfectly good people, and frankly, Thailand should want them. They're spending all their money here, and they're good people. They're not causing any problems. They're great. But look, policymakers are always going to want to aim to have more people with more money coming to their country. And I think where there's disconnect between my conclusions and the conclusions drawn in this article are that, look, it's not a zero-sum game. It's not going to be LTR replaces retirement visas. Yeah, we could see financial requirements for the standard retirement visas go up. I think it's kind of unlikely, especially, you know, the cure for a really low season in an immigration context is a really low season. Look, immigration reacts to the polity, if you will. They have political, if you will, overlords in terms of members of parliament and the cabinet ministers that in the end will eventually have to answer to the people. And look, if there's a super low season, nobody's making any money because there's no foreigners around, I expect, although it's not a foregone conclusion, there will be some relaxing of the rules, if for no other reason than to get more foreigners in. Now, when exactly that may happen remains to be seen. The other thing to consider is, look, globally, economically, we're not exactly in boom times in the West. And the West has traditionally been the source of a number of the retirees. That said, the boomers are retiring, especially in America. And as a result, you know, I think long term we will see more and more of those folks coming in. So I'm hoping that policymakers here in Thailand will walk a middle path and understand, look, middle income retirees, especially good ones, and the vast majority of them are good, and by vast majority I mean like in the upper 90 percentile, are good folks. They're just coming over here to retire. Those folks are great. You know, they're going to be a benefit to Thailand. Don't count them out. You know, yes, we want to attract folks with the LTR and other visa options like the elite visa. Great, do that. But don't completely just throw the middle income retirees under the bus.